Imagine an entire metropolis, wealthy, fertile, strategically perfect, wiped off the face of the earth in a single morning. Not by earthquake, not by invasion, but by fire that rained from a clear sky. The ground itself turned lethal. One woman took a single glance backward and crystallized into salt where she stood. This is not ancient mythology. This is the biblical account of Sodom and Gomorrah, and for 3,000 years it has terrified, fascinated, and divided readers. But what actually happened on that final day? And why did God decide that these cities had crossed a line from which there was no return? Let's walk through the story exactly as Genesis records it, step by tense step. It begins with a conversation that still echoes through history. Abraham is standing on a ridge overlooking the Jordan Valley when three mysterious visitors appear. One of them is the Lord himself in human form. Over a meal of freshly baked bread and veal, God casually reveals his itinerary. I'm going down to Sodom and Gomorrah. The outcry against them has grown too loud to ignore. Abraham's face goes pale. His nephew Lot lives there. So it begins one of the boldest negotiations ever recorded. Abraham bargaining with the creator of the universe. Will you really destroy the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 innocent people in the city? God agrees 50 would be enough. Abraham keeps pushing. 45, 30, 20, finally 10. If just 10 righteous people can be found, the cities will be spared. God sends 2 angels ahead while he finishes speaking with Abraham. By nightfall, those angels appearing as ordinary travelers arrive at the gates of Sodom. Lot spots them from his seat in the city square, a detail that already hints he's not entirely comfortable with what Sodom has become. He insists they spend the night in his house instead of the open square. They reluctantly agree. What happens next is so dark it's often whispered rather than told outright. Before the household has even gone to bed, every male in Sodom, young and old, surrounds Lot's house. The mob isn't there for conversation. They shout for Lot to hand over his guests so that we may know them. The Hebrew phrase is unmistakable. They intend a violent, public gang rape. Lot steps outside and, in a moment of horrifying desperation, offers his own virgin daughters instead. The crowd refuses. They press forward, threatening to do even worse to Lot himself. At that exact second, the angels intervene, blinding the mob with a flash of light so intense that the men claw at empty air, unable to find the door. Inside, the angels drop all pretense. The judgment is coming at dawn. Whoever you love in this city, get them out now. Lot runs to his sons-in-law. They laugh, thinking it's a joke. Time runs out. Just before sunrise, the angel sees Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and physically drag them beyond the city walls. Their final instruction is chilling in its simplicity. Flee for your lives. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere in the valley. Head for the hills or you will be swept away. As the first rays of sunlight touch the rooftops of Sodom, the sky erupts. The Bible uses 2 short, terrifying sentences. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities, and all the valley, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and whatever grew on the ground. No warning sirens, no evacuation routes, just burning sulfur cascading from above like volcanic hail, igniting everything it touches. The richest farmland in Canaan becomes a smoking wasteland in minutes. Lot's wife only a few steps behind, the others can't resist. She turns for one last look at the only home she has ever known. The text is brutally concise. She became a pillar of salt. Whether that means she was encased in superheated mineral deposits or instantly desiccated by the blast, the message is the same. The command not to look back was literal life or death. By the time Abraham climbs the same ridge the next morning, nothing remains. Where 5 thriving cities once stood, there is only a haze of smoke rising like the smoke of a furnace. That is the biblical, recorded, filtered, and unflinching. The New Testament later calls it a warning. These cities serve as an example of what happens when wickedness reaches a saturation point to Peter 2:6, Jude 7. Ezekiel adds a detail many miss. Their core sin wasn't just sexual immorality, it was arrogance, gluttony, and indifference to the poor while living in obscene luxury. Ezekiel 16:49-50. Sodom and Gomorrah were not destroyed because people were merely flawed. They were destroyed because every safeguard of decency had collapsed, and even 10 people willing to stand against the tide could not be found. And that, according to the Bible, is what really happened on the morning the sky caught fire.